invitation. Dun, dun,
Yes.
dun.
Okay.
More
Check
than
1,
that,
2. Shana Tova, Shana
we're
Tova.
going to talk
Shana
Rabbi
Tova.
Rosenthal into getting together rock praise.
Check,
Because he
check, 1,
plays
2.
electric guitar.
There we
Check,
are.
check, 3, 4.
He's not interested.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the video on Facebook of Deborah Sexsmith's with a drummer and a bass player singing. We're singing it tonight. It's Kol Nidre. Oh God, that song rocks. This word.
4:30. Sorry.
Gemar Tov, everyone.
Gemar
Shana
Tov.
Tova. Happy New Year.
Marcho.
I would invite us as we begin to make our way into our services tonight by leaving behind the week that's passed with our Mincha service, just to begin with a breath, to settle ourselves in this moment together. As we enter this day, we take the time and the opportunity to reflect on what we want to be different, what we need to be different in this coming year, how we want to grow, how we want to change, what we're carrying with us in this past year. And so we begin with a little bit of gratitude. Page 431. Page 431 in the back of our Machzorim. We begin with our Mincha service with the Ashrei.
Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha Od Yaluchasela Ashrei Am Shekacha Lo Ashrei Am Shadonai Elohav Tilal David Tehillat Adonai Daber Pi Vivarech Kol Basar Shem Kodshol El Moed V'anachnu Nevarech Yach Me'atav Yad Olam Hallelujah. Please rise for Chatzi Kaddish, bottom of page 432. Yit Gadav Yigadashem Meirabah
Amen.
V'Yalmadi Barak Yerutev Yamlich Malchutei B'chayekon V'Yomechon V'Chayedech Ol Beit Yisrael Bagalav Izman Kariv Imru Amen.
Amen.
Yehesh Mirabah Mevorach Le'olam Olam Mayab Yiparach V'Yishtabach V'Yipar V'Yitman V'Yidnaseh V'Yitadar V'Yitaleh V'Yitalal Hashem Meir Kudsha Brichu La'ela La'ela Mikol Berchatav V'Shoatav Tush V'Chatav V'Nechematav V'Yiram Me'omam V'Imru Amen. Continue beginning the Amidah together, page 433 and 434, silently beginning on page 435. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah האל הגדול הגיבור והרענן העליון גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ומביא גואל לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה זוכרנו לחיים מלך חפץ בחיים וכותבנו בספר החיים למענך אלוהים חיים מלך עוזר פקיד ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה אתה גיבור עולם אדוני מחיה מתים אתה רב להושיע מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממיר ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, מי כמוך אהב הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, כך כתוב היד נביאך וקרא זה אל זה ויאמר,
קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ כבודו.
לעומתם ברוך יאמרו,
ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו.
ובדברי קודשך כתוב לאמור,
ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה.
לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש של המועד, כי המלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני המלך הקדוש.
Jimmy inspired and mentored countless journalists across the country for 3 decades.
If you are still in the midst of the silent Amidah, please feel free to continue. We will move forward with Kaddish Shalem at the bottom of page 441, remaining standing. Yitgadal v'gadashim me'rabah B'almadi v'rakirute v'yamlich malchute B'chayechon v'yomechon V'chayedecho be'Yisrael B'agalav v'zman kariv V'imru Amen Yesh mirabah mevarach Le'lam me'omayah Yiparach v'ishtabach V'par v'tramam v'yitnaseh V'tadar v'yitalev v'yitalala Shmer kudsha b'rechu Le'la le'ela min kol b'chata v'shvata Tush b'chata v'nechem Atara miramil ma v'imru Amen V'kabel tzot tehonavah tonecho Yisrael Kol dam avondi v'ishmayat V'imru Amen Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu V'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen Oseh shalom v'imromav Hu yaseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen Aleinu, page 442. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol L'ateit gedula le'otzer breshit Shelo asanu kigoye aratzot V'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama Shelo sam chalakenu kahem V'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam V'anachnu korim ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא של השמיים ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו Echad. Those in mourning observing a yard site, please remain standing. Mourner's Kaddish, page 443. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabab.
Amen.
V'yalamad yivara kirute v'yamlich malchute. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam olamei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudusha b'rechu la'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'olma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Amen. May be seated. Yeshua to Jordan Foreman for leading us through our mincha service as we prepare ourselves for Kol Nidre. Just 1 second, we're just going to briefly rearrange ourselves up here. We'll be beginning in just a couple of moments on page 204. Last year, the great jazz crooner Tony Bennett performed his final concert, a televised concert with Lady Gaga. I hope that you watched it. or found it on YouTube at some point. One of the things that made it such an incredible concert is that Tony Bennett has Alzheimer's. But he remembered every single word, and every note that he sang was flawless. Dr. Gayatri Devi, Bennett's neurologist, said that Bennett can remember his profession in his songs because that information stays in an area of his brain that gives him real meaning and purpose in his life. She continued, music is housed in different parts of the brain, including parts of the brain that deal with emotion, and therefore it's easy to be moved by it when you hear it. Music has an incredible power to tap into something deep within us, something primal. It connects memories and draws out emotions. And like here in Kol Nidre, it unlocks within us something ancient. The melody, which we'll sing in a few moments, is the oldest we have in our tradition, at least 1,300 years old. And it shares its melody with the French, Sephardic, and Iraqi Jewish chants for the beginning of Genesis, the first words of the Torah, Breshit bara Elohim. As we offer it, we connect in that moment to every Jewish community across the world tonight, and every community for the last 1,300 years. Beyond that, this moment connects us to our primordial beginning in Breshit, before any creation that God made. I want to invite you to take a breath in, and to take these moments to let these melodies, modern and ancient, watch over you, like the ancient mikvah of creation. Today we begin again. Today we begin anew. Today we are renewed. Chadesh yameinu kekedem. Always looking back and renewing forward. Hashiveni ve'ashuva Hashiveni ve'ashuva Chadesh, Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu kekedem Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu kekedem Hashiveni, return me to you, ve'ashuva, and I shall return. Hashiveni, ve'ashuva, renew. Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameinu kekedem. Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameinu kekedem. Chadesh, 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 Yameinu kekedem. Chadesh, Chadesh, as we prepare ourselves for Kol Nidre, we honor some of our congregational past presidents, inviting up Margot and Larry Gold, Nancy and Marsha Levine, Rob Wildstein, and Mark Cohen. And we invite Barry up as well as we prepare ourselves. Page 204, taking all of the light of all of the righteous acts that we performed over this last year. Let's bring it up to the surface, let's harvest it, and put it out into the world.
One for Margot, one for Larry.
Mishiva shel ma'ala Mishiva shel mata Allah makom melataka Anu matirin neit palev im halvaryani Mishiva shel ma'ala Mishiva shel mata Allah makom vedataka Anu matirin leit palel ima varyani Mishiva shel Mishiva shel mata Allah makom מתירים להתפלל עם העבריינים.
Page 205.
Kol Nidre Ve'esarei Vacharamei Ve'konamei Ve'chinoyei Ve'kinosei Asarna al nafshatana biyom kippurim zeh ad yom kippurim haba alenu letova kol on icharatna Kol onyon sharon yon sharon Shevitin Betelin Mavatalin La Sheririn Vela Kayamin Nidrana Sarana la esare la esare Oshvoatana 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 Shavuot.
We invite Nancy and Marsha Levine as we exchange our Torah scrolls up to the front of the room.
Kol Nidre
All vows,
V'sarei
renunciations,
V'charamei
bans,
V'konamei
oaths,
V'chiduyei
formulas of obligation,
V'kidusei
pledges,
U'shavut
and promises
Din Zana
that we vow
U'deishtabana
or promise
U'deacharimna
consecrates
V'diasana al nafshatana
or prohibit upon ourselves
Miyom Kippurim zeh al Yom Kippurim haba
from this Yom Kippur until the next.
Aleinu l'tova
May the year be good.
Kol hon yicharadna ve'on
Regarding them all, we hereby retract.
Kol hon yehon sharan
May they all be undone.
Shvikin, shvitin
Repealed, canceled,
V'telin v'votalin
voided, annulled,
L'asheririn
and regarded as neither valid
V'lakayamin
nor binding.
Nidrana la nidre
Our vows are no longer vows,
V'esarana la esare
our renunciations no longer renunciations.
Ushuata
And our promises shall not be considered promises.
La Shavuot.
We invite up Rob and Mark to hold our Torah scrolls for our third repetition of Kol Nidre. Kol Nidre Vesare Vecharme Vekoname Vechinuye Vekinuse Ushivu
ולהשתבנה ולאחרים נא איי 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 ודיאסרנה על נפשתנה מיום כיפורים זה עד יום כיפורים הבא עלינו לטובה. כולן יחרדנה והון כולן יהון שרן שוויקין שוויתין מצלין ומבוטלין לשרירים ולקיימים נדרנה לנדרה ושרנה לאסרם ושבועתנה לשבועות ונסלח לכל עדת בני ישראל מלגר אגר מתוכם כי לכל עם משגגה סלח נא לעוון המזה כגודל חסדך וכאשר נסעת לעם הזה ממצרים ועד הנה ושם נאמר ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה
Our scrolls are returned back to the ark. We remain standing. As in a moment we begin our Mariv service, page 207.
Ashiveni ve'ashuva Nidai
page 207. Ay, 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 et Adonai Amvorach.
Baruch Adonai mevorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Leolam Vaed. We're seated as we continue in the middle of the page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Umavire yom umehivi laila umavdil ben yom uvilaila Adonai tzivaot shemo el chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Aravim.
Ahavat olam bet Yisrael.
Page 208. Torah mitzvot kimishtim alanu ma'adatau yinanu.
Ki hem chayenu v'yorech yameinu u'ba'em negeh yomam v'layla v'ahavatcha tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael.
There's a tradition that's told of our ancestors, our father Moses. It's said that one day he traveled up to heaven and witnessed the angels praying. What were they saying? Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Praised be God's name forever and ever. And Moses is like, it's a pretty good prayer. So he takes this prayer and brings it down amidst the people. And all year long we whisper those words, so as not to alert the angels that we've taken their prayer. But on Yom Kippur, for one day a year, we are as if we are angels. In our finest whites and garments, as we fast throughout our day, we leave behind the material world and become like those angels, reciting aloud this beautiful prayer. We recite together the Shema, page 208. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. היה עם שמות ישמעו ודאי ישמעו Adonai Elohechem emet בדבמונה כל זאת וקיים עלינו גדול עלינו ועיד לתמיד אף ישראל עמו וידים יד מלכים. Page 210.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה מרים ובני ישראל, לכנו שירה ושמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נגד קודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה, זה לי ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני
ברכו ברוך שמו
גיא ישראל.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו. Page 211. ועמידנו מלכים לכם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. We rise together as we offer the prayer. As we offer the prayer for Yom Kippur. Page 212, the second paragraph.
כי ביום הזה יכפר עליכם לטהר אתכם מכל חטאותיכם לפני אדוני תטהרו. ויתקדש שמי רבה מלמד נברא קירותי וימליך מלכותי וחי אחד ויום אחד וחי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו אמן יש מרבה מבורך לעולם ומעמיה יתברך וישתבח יפר ויתרומם יתנשא יתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו לילה לילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו amen.
We walk into our silent Amidah, page 213 to 221. In this Amidah, you'll find not only the words of our tradition, but also the Vidui, the Ashamnu, and the Al Chet, which are special for this Yom Kippur time. These are, of course, the prayers in which we strike our chest. We beat our heart, either with the fist of regret or the hand of forgiveness. Whichever hand you choose to use, whichever fist or open hand you choose to use during these prayers, may we all remember that it is our hands that we hope to transform over this Yom Kippur holiday to do goodness and peace in the world. 213 to 221.
We enter into our Slichot service, page 223, offering up our prayers, our supplications with the Ya'aleh Piyut liturgical poem. Ya'aleh Tachanuneinu me'erev ve'yavo Shabbatenu miboker b'Yira'eh Rinunenu ad ha'arev Ya'aleh Koleinu me'erev ve'yavo Tzidkatenu miboker b'Yira'eh Pidyoneinu ad ha'arev Ya'aleh Inuyenu me'erev ve'yavo Slichatenu miboker b'Yira'eh Nakatenu ad ha'arev Yai dai 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 Ya'aleh Menuseinu me'erev ve'yavo Lemano miboker b'Yira'eh Kipurenu ad ha'arev Ya'aleh Isheinu me'erev ve'yavo Torenu miboker b'Yira'eh Chinuyenu ad ha'arev Ya'aleh Zichronenu me'erev ve'yavo Miudenu miboker b'Yira'eh Adratenu ad ha'arev Yai dai 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 Ya'aleh Dovkeinu me'erev ve'yavo Gilenu miboker b'Yira'eh Bakashatenu ad ha'arev Ya'aleh Enkatenu me'erev ve'yavo Elecha miboker b'Yira'eh Eleinu ad ha'arev Yai dai 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 Yai dai 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 Yai dai 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 Yai dai 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 Page 224.
שומע תפילה, דרך כל בשר יבוא כל בשר להשתחוות לפניך אדוני, יבוא וישתחוו לפניך אדוני, ויכבדו לשמך. לכו נרננה לאדוני נריע לצוישנו, נקדמה פנה בתודה בזמירות נריע לו, אשר לא הים בהועצהו ביבשת ידיו יצרו, אשר בידו נפש כל חי ורוח כל בשר איש. The words that we're about to recite come from the book of Job. והחוכמה מאין תימצא ואיזה מקום יינה. It's the first bolded line on the page, 2 lines below where we ended, and transliterated on the left in the red. But wisdom, where can it be found? Where is the place of true knowledge? The quote ends at the very bottom of the page with the last line. The fear of Adonai, that is true wisdom. Departing from sin, that is true knowledge. We live in a world where it is cool to never apologize. We live in a world that it's too easy to pass on responsibility to another. But all the way back in Job, we're called, depart from sin, that is true knowledge. To admit where we've gone wrong in the past year and to redirect our way, that's true power. That's true strength, that's true knowledge. And so we lift up these words with a beautiful melody by Deborah Sachs-Mintz. Ve'achokma me'ayin timatzeh. Ve'achokma me'ayin timatzeh. Ve'eze makom mina. Ve'achokma me'ayin timatzeh. ואיזה מקום בינה, איזה מקום בינה. אין יראת אדוני היא חוכמה, וסור וסור ברבינה. אין יראת אדוני היא חוכמה, וסור וסור מרבינה. והחוכמה מאין תימצא, ואיזה מקום בינה. והחוכמה מאין תימצא, ואיזה מקום בינה. איזה מקום בינה. אין יראת אדוני היא חוכמה, וסור וסור מרבינה. אין יראת אדוני היא חוכמה, וסור וסור מרבינה. והחוכמה מאין תימצא, באיזה מקום בינה. והחוכמה מאין תימצא, באיזה מקום בינה. איזה מקום בינה. Page 225.
המלך והגוף פורח, חוסה חוסה על המלך. הנשמה
חטאנו על שמך אדוני, עשינו למען שמך, בעבור כבוד שמך, כי הרחמנו ורחומה שמך. למען שמך אדוני, וסלחת לעווננו, כי רב הוא. Continue page 226. אל ערך אפיים אתה וברחמים נקראת, ודרך תשובה הורית, גדולת רחמך וחסדיך תזכור היום, ובכל יום אל זרע ידידיך, תפן אלינו ברחמך, כי אתה הוא בעל הרחמים. We rise as the ark is open. מתחננו תפילה פניך נקדם, כי הודעת לעניו מקדם, מחרון אפך שוב, כמו בתורתך כתוב, ובצל כנפיך נחסה ונתלונן, כי יום וירד אדוני באמן. תעבור על פשע ותמחה אשם, כי יום ויתייצב עמו שם. תאזין שבתנו ותקשיב מנו מאמר, כי יום ויקרא בשם אדוני. ויאמר אדוני על פניו ויקרא. אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נושא חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה. וסלחת לעווננו חטאתנו ונחלתנו. סלח לנו אבינו כי חטאנו, מחל לנו מלכנו כי פשענו, כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח, ורב חסד לכל קוראיך. You be seated as the ark is closed. We continue page 227 with the piyut Ki Hine Kachomer.
כי הנה כחומר ביד היוצר, ברצותו מרחיב וברצותו מקצר, כן אנחנו בידך, חסד נוצר, חסד נוצר. לברית הבית, לברית הבית, והתפן ליצר. הנה כאבן ביד הסתת, ברצותו אוחז וברצותו מחטט, כן אנחנו בידך, בחיי ובמוות, בחיי ובמוות.
לברית הבית, לברית הבית, והתפן ליצר.
הנה כגרזן ביד הרש, ברצותו דיבק לאור, ברצותו פרש, כן אנחנו בידך, שומרך אני ורש.
לברית הבית, לברית הבית, והתפן ליצר.
We turn to page 228 as Gary will lead us, reading responsively reflections from Psalms.
Tell me, God, my end, the measure of my days, that I would know how fleeting my life is.
We walk about like empty shells. All our efforts add up to little. We pile up possessions, but don't know how to account for our lives.
What then should I hope for, God? Only that you save me from the consequences of my sin.
You observe my walking and lying down.
You are familiar with all my ways.
There is no word on my tongue, but that you, God, know it well.
Where can I escape from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence?
I was never concealed from you, even as I was being shaped in hidden places, knit together in the recesses of the earth.
Your eyes saw my unformed limbs. They were recorded in your book. Fashioned over days, they all belong to you.
It was you who created my innermost ability to feel. You fashioned me in my mother's womb.
Examine me now, God. Look into my heart. Probe me and know my secrets.
If you see me with cause for sadness, guide me towards eternal truths.
Hear my prayer, God. Give ear to my cry. Do not disregard my tears. Like all my forebears, I am a wanderer, a guest in your house.
Make me an instrument of your salvation, that I might be redeemed before I go away and am no more.
We continue page 229, rising as the ark is opened. Marty. אל מלך יושב על כיסא רחמים, מנהג בחסידות מוחל עוונות עמו, מעביר ראשון ראשון, מרבה מחילה לחטאים, וסליחה לפושעים, עושה צדקות עם כל בשר ורוח, לא חרתם תגמול. אל הורית לנו לומר 13, זכור לנו היום ברית 13, כמו שהודעת לעניו מקדם, כמו שכתוב, וירד אדוני בענן ויתייצב עמו שם, ויקרא בשם אדוני, ויעבור אדוני על פניו, מה יקרא? אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים, מרח חסד לאמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון בפשע, וחטא ונקה. וסלחת לעווננו לחטאתנו ונחלתנו. סלח לנו אבינו כי חטאנו, מחל לנו מלכנו כי פשענו, כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח ורב חסד לכל קוראיך. We're seated as the ark is closed. Where does God live? The Kotzker Rebbe once asked his students. Isn't it obvious? They answered. God is everywhere. Wrong, the rabbi answered. God is where we let God in. Throughout the generations, our sages and philosophers have sought out the answer to this question, where is God? The Kotzker happens to be my favorite. We see it again, though, in the Kedusha. Aye mekom kivodo. Where is God's presence? Right after, it already answered that, the line before. Melo chol haaretz kivodo, that God's presence fills the whole world. This tension is the root of this piyut, found at the bottom of page 231, of which we have a part of the total poem included here in our machzor. How can God be both hidden and lofty and intimate and near? How can God's throne be on high and yet fill the entire world? And maybe a more modern question, where is God in a world where she so often seems hidden away and distant? There's a longing present in these words of Yehuda Halevi, and in this melody, a longing to be closer to God, closer to our source, closer to the person that we know we can be in this world. We're not far from that person. We need only turn and seek. Bottom of page 231. Yana emsacha mekomcha na'lev elav ve'ana lo emsacha ki odecha malei olam yana emsacha mekomcha na'lev elav ve'ana lo emsacha kivodecha malei olam darashti kivadcha v'chol libi kiraticha ובצאתי לקראתך לקראתי מצאתיך ובצאתי לקראתך ובצאתי לקראתך לקראתי מצאתיך דרשתי כבדך בכל ליבי קראתיך ובצאתי לקראתך לקראתי 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 מצאתיך אנא אמצאך מקומך נעלה ונעלם ואנא לא אמצאך כבודך מלא עולם יענה אמצאך מקומך נעלה ונעלם ואנא לא אמצאך כבודך מלא Continue page 232, rising together as the ark is opened. אל מלך יושב על כיסא רחמים, מתנהג בחסידות מוחל עוונות עמו, מעביר ראשון ראשון, מרבה מחילה לחטאים וסליחה לפושעים, עושה צדקות עם כל בשר ורוח, לא חרתם תגמול. אל הורית לנו לומר 13, זכור לנו היום ברית 13, כמו שהודעת לעניו מקדם, כמו שכתוב, וירד אדוני בענן ויתייצב עמו שם, ויקרא בשם אדוני, ויעבור אדוני על פניו, ויקרא אדוני אדוני אל רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נושא חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה. וסלחת לעווננו לחטאתנו ונחלתנו. סלח לנו אבינו כי חטאנו, מחל לנו מלכנו כי פשענו, כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח ורב חסד לכל קוראיך. The ark is closed and we're seated. as we continue reading responsively in the bottom left-hand side of page 232.
Listen to our prayers, God. Hear our pleading, our sorrow-filled voices.
Our sovereign, our God, it is to you we pray.
May your ear hear and your eyes open to the prayers of your servants, the people Israel.
In your heavenly abode, may you hear their pleas and prayers and respond to what they ask.
May you forgive your people who have sinned against you.
As a parent looks kindly on a child, may you, God, look kindly on us.
Salvation is Adonai's alone. Pour blessings on your people forever. Adonai Tzvaot is with us, our support, the God of Jacob forever.
Blessed is the one who trusts in you, Adonai Tzvaot.
Adonai, save us. Surely the Sovereign One will respond to us on the day we call out. As befits your abundant love, please forgive this people's sins, just as you have always forgiven this people from the time of the Exodus from Egypt until now. When Moses recited this prayer, it is recorded. Adonai said, I forgive as you asked.
Salachna lavonam azeh kegodel chastecha v'chashenasat le'am azeh Mitzrayim v'yadheina v'sham ne'emar Ayomer Adonai salachti kidvarecha. We rise once again as the ark is open, page 233. We continue with the bolded lines of Shema Kolenu, repeating after Jill chants each phrase.
Shema Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Usvachem Aleinu, Vekabel Rachamim Uratzon, Vekabel Rachamim Uratzon, Et Tefilateinu.
Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu, Chuz v'rachem aleinu, v'kabel b'rachamim uvratzon, et tefilateinu.
Ashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Hadesh Yameinu Yameinu kekedem
Ashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva, Chadesh yameinu kekedem.
Al tashlichenu milfanecha veruach kodshecha al tikach mimenu.
Al tashlichenu milfanecha v'ruach kodshecha al tikach mimenu.
Al tashlichenu liet zikna kichlot kochenu al ta'azvenu
Al tashlichenu leitzikna, kichlot kochenu, al tazveinu. The ark is closed and we're seated as we continue at the bottom of page 223. Eloheinu v'Eloi avotenu, al tazveinu v'al titshenu, v'al tachlimenu v'al tafer britcha itanu. Korveinu letoratecha, lamedenu mitzvotecha, oreinu drachecha, halibeinu lira et shemecha, umo lelevaveinu le'avatecha, menashuv elecha be'emet, ובלב שלם. ולמען שמך גדול תמחל ותסלח לעווננו, ככתוב בדברי קודשך, למען שמך אדוני, וסלחת לעווני, ירפו.
אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו.
יענו עמך ואתה אלוהינו, אנו בניך ואתה אבינו, אנו עבדיך ואתה אדוננו, אנו כנעניך ואתה חלקנו, אנו נחלתך ואתה גורלנו, אנו צונך ואתה רוענו, אנו חרמך ואתה נוטרנו, אנו גאולתך ואתה יוצרנו, אנו רעייתך ואתה דודנו, אנו סגולתך ואתה קרובנו, אנו עמך ואתה מלכנו, אנו מאמירך ואתה מאמירנו.
We've reached the Vidui, the confessional, at the bottom of page 234. This is an ancient rite, taken from our sacred temple service, traveled through our synagogue practice, and it finds expression at the bedside before the end of life. Our new Moksor does a beautiful job helping us to see the wisdom of placing the Vidui here in our prayer service, as the Vidui prayer itself mimics the prayer above, the Anu Amecha, with its back and forth between us and God. However, the tone of the song, Anu Amecha, speaks about the virtues and positive aspects of our relationship with God. The Vidui, though, what's below, strikes the opposite tone. Look at the converse attributes that the Vidui highlights as it tries to show us the breakdown of our relationship with the Creator. The first two are focused on the negative spiritual postures, insolent and obstinate. The third focuses on sin, the issue that occupies the day. And then finally, it focuses on time. We are a passing shadow, and the small amount of time we have available. The tragedy of life is that we allow insolence and obstinance to be our posture. For God, repentance isn't about our missteps or an outright sin, about a sin of what we might have done. It's about the stance we take in life, the spiritual posture that we assume, the lack of mindfulness, and the lack of care of how we walk through this world, which leads to the behavior which is sin. The act of sin takes up only 25% of the vidui, whereas obstinance and stubbornness take up over 50% of the prayer. Time is not on our side, as we have but a passing shadow in order to change our ways and live life with more gratitude, kindness, and thoughtfulness. We offer the Vidui, page 334.
אנו זפנים ואתה רחום וחנון, אנו קשי עורף ואתה ערך אפיים, אנו מלא עוון ואתה מלא רחמים, אנו ימינו כצל עובר ואתה ושנותיך לא תתמו.
Eloheinu ve'Elohei אבותינו, תבוא לפניך תפילתנו, ואל תתעלם מתחינתנו, שאין אנחנו עזי פנים, וקשי עורף לומר לפניך. אדוני אלוהינו, אלוהי אבותינו, צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו, אבל אנחנו ואבותינו חטאנו. You rise as the ark is opened, 235. Huh?
Ashamnu, Magadnu, Gazalnu,
Divanu Dofi,
The ark is closed for a moment as we read in the bottom left-hand side of page 235 in the column, Who are we? Emotions ebb and flow throughout these holy days. Paradoxes swim in the stream of prayer. At one moment, we believe our deeds to be of such import that the world stands still so that we may take account of them. At another moment, we imagine ourselves so small, so insignificant that our lives are like a passing breath. We are great, we are small. We are the center of the universe, we are nothing at all. And yet, no matter how large we imagine our sins to be, and no matter how puny we imagine ourselves to be, God will never forsake us. Continue as the ark is opened with Al Chet, page 237. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך באונס וברצון, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך מאימוץ הלב.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בבלי דעת, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בבדוש שפתיים.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בגלוי וריו, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בגלוי וסתת We sin against you through forbidden trysts. We have sinned against you through empty confession. We have sinned against you by scorning parents and teachers. We have sinned against you purposely and by mistake. We have sinned against you by reason of violence. We have sinned against you by public desecration. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך ביצר הרע, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך ביודעים ובלא יודעים. מעל כולם אלוהי סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו. החטא שחטאנו לפניך וחרש וחזר, החטא שחטאנו לפניך בכפת שוחד. We have sinned against you with clever cynicism. We have sinned against you by speaking ill of others. We have sinned against you by the way we do business. We have sinned against you in our eating and drinking. We have sinned against you by greed and by oppressive interest. We have sinned against you through arrogance. We have sinned against you in everyday conversation. We have sinned against you through conspiratorial glances. We have sinned against you through condescension. And we have sinned against you through stubbornness. על החטא שחטאנו לפניך מעיניים רמות, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך מעזות מצח, ועל כולם אלוהי סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפריקתו, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפלילות.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בצעד רגע, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בזרות עין. חטא שחטאנו לפניך בנשיות, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפלילות, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך, על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בשנאת חינם, חטא שחטאנו.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בתשומת יד, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בתיבון לבב, ועל כולם אלוהי סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
Remain standing, page 243, as we offer our Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, V'alol aleinu, V'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Deve, V'cherev Rav Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Kol Tzar Umastin Maleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Kodreinu b'seif chaim tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh aleinu, Chadesh aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Shema Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu Haneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu Haneinu, Yen Manu Masim. Aseh Imanu, Tzedakah v'chesed, Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed, ve'oshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'aneinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'aneinu, ki en manu masim. Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed, Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed, ve'oshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'aneinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'aneinu, ki en manu masim. Remain standing as the ark is closed. The middle of page 245 for Kaddish Shalom. Bum ba da 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 dum bum 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 da da dum bum bum. Yitkadal v'yitkadal shemei Rabbah. Me'alema divra kirute ve'amlich machute v'chayechon ve'yom echon uv'chayedechu ben Yisrael magala u'bizman kariv v'imeru Amen Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Me'amaya
Yitbarach,
Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpar V'yitroman V'yitnaseh V'yitada V'yitzaleh V'yitzala
Shnei Dekudesha,
Shmei Dekudesha Brichu Leila Leila Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata D'amiram Ve'alma Tushbechata V'nechemata D'amiram Ve'alma Imeru Amen Titgabel Tzlodon Avudon Dechol Bet Yisrael Kodam Avon Nivishmaya Imeru
Amen, Amen.
Yishma Rabba Min Shemaya Michayim Aleinu Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imeru
Amen, Amen.
Oseh Shalom Min Roma Hu Yas Yaseh Shalom Aleinu Aleinu Ve'ale Kol Yisrael Ve'imeru Ve'imeru Maybe seated. Goodbye, Tov, everyone. One of my favorite stories I heard from the Jewish musician Shlomo Katz. It tells of one of the Slonim Rebbe's a few hundred years ago, who one night found himself in a motel. For good reasons. In the lobby of this motel, he sees a Jew. And this Jew is shining from head to toe like nothing he's ever seen. He thinks, wow, what an amazing Jew. And he checks into his room and settles down for the night. The next night, he bumps into this Jew again, and he's somehow shining even more. The rays of light are pouring out of his face. He never saw something like this in his life. But again, he doesn't say anything. Now the third night he sees this Jew. He sees this Yiddeleh, and he looks like Moses descending from Sinai, Karen or Panav, the ray of light coming straight out of his head. And finally, he goes up to him, and he says, "Sweet Jew, who are you? Where are you from? I need to know your story." And the man answers truthfully, "I'm not really anyone. I am a simple worker. I live in a nearby town, and I've come here to do some business." Rabbi, not to be stumped yet, he says, "Well, where do you learn? Who do you know? Who are you?" And the man answers, "I'm a simple Jew. Truthfully, I don't pray that much. I have trouble reading even. The Aleph Bet is hard for me. I get through 2 words in Shacharit, and I have to give up. Mincha rolls around again, and I get through a word or 2, and I have to stop. Ma'ariv comes around in the evening, and I get through a word or 2, and that's all I can do." The rabbi at this point is thinking, well, how can this be? How can this be? There has to be something which explains why this Jew is shining so much. And he's about to leave him, and as he turns around, the man says, "Wait, Rabbi. There is one thing that I say every night. The Shema is still hard for me. I say the first 2 lines of the Shema, but we get to V'ahavta, I can only get through a word or 2. But before I go to bed, every single night, I say, Master of the universe, there's only one thing I request of you. If you don't believe or think that I can do tomorrow everything that you need me to do in the world, don't wake me up. But if you believe that I can do what you put me in this world to do, only then wake me up." What a story. Imagine if he went to bed every single night like that and woke up with that knowledge. It'd be incredible. Here we have this Jew who barely speaks a word of Hebrew, who doesn't have any of the prayers memorized, who doesn't study. He can't even make it through a prayer, let alone a service. How many of us see ourselves in that Jew? as maybe unworthy of our heritage by virtue of a lack of our knowledge or practice. How many of us, if we were this Jew, would call ourselves a bad Jew? Have we ourselves referred to ourselves as a bad Jew? I get it. Being a Jew is easy, but living it is harder. There's a difference between being Jewish and living Jewishly. To live Jewishly, we have to invest a whole heck of a lot of time and energy, study, and sacrifice. Let's just take prayer as one example. To truly understand what it is when we pray at the deepest levels, takes many years of study. You need the basic building blocks of Hebrew, knowing the Aleph Bet, the vowels, the grammatical structure, the meanings of the words, and then you need to be able to put them all together in a fast mumble. You know the mumble. Then you need to be able to pronounce the words aloud. Then you need to understand what you're saying, which requires you to have some passing fluency not in modern Hebrew, but in biblical Hebrew. You take those words and then you put a melody on top of it, which you're also trying to learn at the same time because the rabbi keeps changing the melodies. And the melodies come with their own baggage because it means that you have to sing. And your 5th grade choir teacher told you it's better to keep your mouth shut. And so you haven't sang since. Once you become familiar with the words in the melody, you have to know what the words are saying. But you only really know what it means by knowing the context. Both the context that those words come from and how they've been put together, which requires some knowledge of Torah and Talmud and Kabbalah, as well as the general structure of the service, which helps us to figure out how these words are being used in their new context. To be sure, prayer can be meaningful long before you reach that level of fluency. Maybe you've had an experience of meaningful prayer. But the deeper you go, the more we have spiritually to play with. A person can spend their entire life studying Judaism, maybe even just prayer, and still not touch the end of it. It can be exhausting and overwhelming, especially if you're starting at the beginning. This experience is not emotionally neutral. For some people, this experience inspires them to dive in and to study and to come to services every week. But for most of us, especially those maybe who grew up in Hebrew school and in Jewish homes, there's an internalized expectation that for some reason we should know how to pray. And along with that, an accompanying sense of shame and embarrassment that you don't. Why would you go somewhere that makes you feel bad about yourself? As if this wasn't enough, being Jewish is expensive enough on top of it all. To belong to a shul costs money. Add in the cost of kosher food, Jewish ritual objects, religious school, Jewish day school for our kids. It's a lot. It's no wonder that so many of us would rather be on the golf course on a Saturday morning. To be Jewish, as we read in the Torah a few weeks ago, is both a blessing and a curse, often at the same time. Those curses are often obvious and immediate. They are the things that we miss out on, like a favorite food or a Friday night concert. The blessings are often tied to those actions or inactions, and they sometimes take a while to bear fruit. But when it comes time to reap that harvest, we often find blessings in unexpected places, like in the expansiveness of connecting with others without the distractions of cooking or technology on Shabbat, or the meaningful intentionality that comes with sanctifying that which we put into our bodies. There are a lot of things working against us when trying to live Jewishly, but when we call ourselves bad Jews, we let ourselves off the hook with a self-deprecating wink and a nod. Because even to call oneself a bad Jew points towards a fundamental misunderstanding, I believe, of what it means to be Jewish. We are B'nai Yisrael, the children of God wrestlers. Our heritage passed down from Jacob through each generation is one of struggling in every moment to extract a blessing from this world, just as Jacob required of the angel in the wilderness before he would let him go. The task of the Jew is to, at each moment, find our way closer to God, closer to holiness, closer to connection with that which is larger than ourselves. The Hasidic rabbis recognize that this process is not a linear one. They recall the story of Jacob, who, after swindling his brother for his birthright, runs away from home and falls asleep on a rock. In his dream, he sees a ladder with angels going up and down. Like the angels in Jacob's dream, our rabbis teach we are constantly in a state of ascending and descending, of elevating and integrating. They call this ratzo v'shov, literally running and returning. You can hear the roots in that second word, shov, shuv, to return in there. We run if we let our soul to cleave to God, to its holy source, but then we return, nashuva, to our material existence, to fulfill our soul's mission in this world, just like the Jew who prays for meaning, for life in the next morning in our story at the beginning. To be a Jew is to be in constant movement, questing after holiness, and then integrating it into our lived reality. To be the same but qualitatively different, more connected, more open. The rest is mere commentary, literally. Judaism is aspirational, not didactic. It's each generation's attempts and best wisdom to cultivate the sense of inner awareness of the divine presence in our lives. Our services are filled with the words of praise, request, and forgiveness of the generations that came before us. The fact that it's in a book doesn't make it binding. It calls us to offer our own authentic words based upon our own embodied experience of living in this world. Our halachic system is much the same. While Jewish law has a robust structure of practices and rituals, the point of Judaism is not to do those actions. The goal is that, through a system of structure of living, we cultivate a sense of God's presence in each moment. Through awareness and, at times, sacrifice, we create a life that is centered not around ourselves ultimately, but on something greater. Legal principles come into conflict all of the time. The awareness and what we do in that moment of pause is what I believe really counts. Halacha shares a root with the word halicha, which means pathway, and it's just that, a path towards awareness. We sometimes stray from that path, and our tradition recognizes that. Sometimes for moments, sometimes for days, sometimes for years. But incredibly offers a path back into relationship no matter what we've done. It's never too late, and no moment is the wrong moment to start. This is what Yom Kippur is all about, tshuva, a return to God. This is the core of our reading tomorrow morning as well. That Aaron, or the high priest, should go and offer a goat on behalf of himself, his household, and the people of Israel, to offer expiation for their sins. Even Aaron, the high priest, needs to be forgiven. Even Aaron, the high priest, messes up occasionally throughout the year. Even Aaron, the high priest, if he messes up in that moment, might die in the Holy of Holies. Nobody is immune, not even the most punctilious follower of Jewish law. Everyone is, as it says in the Hineni prayer, impoverished in merit, unfit and unworthy of the task. It continues, charge them not with my sins, and let them not bear the guilt of my transgressions, though I have sinned and transgressed. These are the words the prayer leader offers at the beginning of Musaf. I cannot say this clearly enough. And our tradition could not say this clearly enough. There is no such thing as a bad Jew. Only a Jew on a journey. We are always in a state of ratzov v'shov, of running and returning. The question you have to ask yourself, though, is, which way are you running? Are you running like the angels on Jacob's ladder towards God? Or are you running away from God like Jonah in tomorrow's Mincha Haftorah? What makes for me the story of this Jew in the motel so remarkable is that despite his lack of learning, despite some embarrassment that he doesn't know more, he's still trying. Each service time, every single day, he pauses to offer the words that he knows. But he doesn't just stop there. In a desire to come closer to God, he adds his own prayer. With what little learning he does have, he says, please, God, I can't do everything that you ask of me because I don't know it. But if you think that I can do what you put me on this earth to do, then let that be enough. We can spend a lifetime studying Judaism and Jewish thought and law, and I recommend it. But it takes but a moment of deep presence with an open heart to experience moments of holiness. Finding that connection doesn't require a deep knowledge of Hebrew, a long siddur or a machzor, or even, dare I say, a synagogue building. But it does require a commitment in each moment to seek out what is good and what is holy. May we all seek out and find at least one moment of holiness, of deep connection, of uplift, and of true prayer on this day. Gmar Chatima Tova. We'll continue back in our Machzorim with the Aleinu rising in body or in spirit as the ark is opened. Page 246. Aleinu l'shabeach ladom hakol, ateit gedula leotzer breshit, shelo achnu kigoyei haratzon, velo samanu kemishpachot adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, v'glor aleinu kechol hamonam, אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ועושה ארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים הוא אלוהינו אינו אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו כך כתוב בתורתו ידעת היום ישיבות אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחתינו על כן נגבך ועוזרך ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני מלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. be seated as the ark is closed. We continue page 248 with the psalm for the season of repentance. Lifting up our voices one last time, 7 lines down from the page and in the red transliteration on the left side of the page. Achad sha'alti me'et Adonai. It's one thing I request of you, and maybe we even achieved it this evening, to dwell in the house of Adonai. Achad sha'alti me'et Adonai otavakesh. Achad sha'alti me'et Adonai otavakesh. Shivti bebeit Adonai kol yemei chayai lachazor benoam Adonai ulevaker bechalo lachazor benoam Adonai ulevaker bechalo lulei hemanti lirot betuv Adonai be'eretz chaim kavel Adonai open Adonai chazak v'yametz libecha v'kavel Adonai.
On this, the 10th day of Tishrei, we remember with great affection Louise Alpert, a grandmother to David and Doug Diamond, Miriam Lobel Dwartz, sister to Joe Lobel, Harry Dwoskin, father to Diane Bernstein, Estelle Ezor, mother to Robert Ezor, Stanley Fine, brother to Robert Fine, Seymour Lewis, husband to Harriet Lewis, Samuel Ornstein, father to Alice Kaplan, and Pauline Wernick, grandmother to Jill Bates. We also continue to mourn with those who come morning and evening to our daily prayer service, remembering Walter Hirschberg, Eleanor Sims, Ralph Sachs, Kathy Baumgartner-Scheer, Arnold Landy, Rick Goldstein, Doris Kaplan, Susan Pollock, Francis Poller, Mary Goldstein, Leon Goldstein, Steve Sandusky, Malcolm Minsk, Don Gilner, Rosalind Davidson, Sandra Adair, Marvin Silverman, Laura Chavinsky, Jacob Duluboff, Jerry Kotler, Hank Oxman, Leslie Parker, Dick Eisenberg, David Carl Yarm, Bobby Lax, Rita Tuvlin, David Siegel, Marshall Moatar, Adrian Cohen, Al Filsuf, Khalil Kelly Inney, Saul Schenberg, Gary Unell, Susan Levine Open, and Sharon Hamburger. If I've forgotten any names, please forgive me. But know that we continue to walk with you as you remember your loved ones and ask those in the room to rise, those online to enable your voices so we could all share in the call and response of the Mourner's Kaddish 247. Yit Gadal, V'yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'yalma Divra Kirutei, V'yamlich B'chutei, V'chayachon V'mechon Hayeh Kol Beit Yisrael, V'agalah B'zman Karev Yimru, Amen. Yehei Rabba V'Amaya, Yipparach Yishtabach V'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh, Yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal, Le'ela, Mikol, B'chata, V'shirata, Tush B'chata, V'nechama, Amen. Yehei Shlama, Rab Shemaya, Aleinu, V'Yisrael, Oseh Shalom B'Marav, Please be seated. It's my honor to invite up Mark Stern, one of our vice presidents, for a few words of greetings and announcements.
Good evening and Shana Tova. You know, I, like many of y'all, take a moment during these holidays to reflect upon all the things that we've done over the past year. I think about all I've accomplished. I think of the many things that I got wrong. And I also think about the future as well. And tonight in particular, I'm thinking about our shul and all of the things that we've done this past year in our shul. And in particular, I'm thinking about, as I look around this sanctuary, and we can create a sacred space anywhere, but how special our main sanctuary is, where many of us have grown up, where many of us have celebrated simchas, and for those who are newer members, where you will celebrate simchas in the future. And I'm very excited that we are only 1 to 2 months away from finishing the renovations of our main sanctuary. And I invite you either after services tonight or tomorrow to go through that door there, walk up the steps into the balcony where you can see what we're doing and what we've accomplished in the renovation. This sort of smaller sacred space that we're creating within that large space. And I look forward to celebrating the high holidays next year in our new main sanctuary. Tonight, I want to thank Rabbi Rosenthal and Rabbi Bluston and Jill and Taylor and Barry for leading us so beautifully in Kol Nidre and Mariv tonight. I also enjoyed seeing all of our past presidents up here, and also want a big thanks for Barry and Jackie and Miriam and Jill, without whose efforts we would not be doing everything that we're doing in here tonight. So thank you. A couple of quick announcements. We have Operation Isaiah, which many of you are familiar with, where we collect non-perishable items for those in need in our community. We have the blue barrels up front. We're also asking if you want to make a monetary donation to send a check to the synagogue, write Operation Isaiah on that, and that will be forwarded to the Jewish Family and Career Services Food Pantry and to the food bank. Also, we have Operation Ari Elul, where we're trying to create welcome baskets for refugees coming into our city. And during the Sukkot holiday, when we celebrate at the different areas around town in the sukkahs for the parties that we're having, we're asking that you bring some of the kits, if you could make some kits, to those parties where we'll collect them. And you can get more information from our website. And also, we are putting together the Arnovitz Leadership Institute for young potential future leaders of our shul. So if you know someone who would make a good leader in our shul who's interested, please email Jackie Nix with the names. We're putting that cohort together right now. And finally, we have our Yom Kippur appeal. The money that we raise during this appeal helps us with our operating budget, helps us keep the doors open, helps us with all the programming that we do over the year. So please consider a donation. You can email Barry Herman directly or use the cards that you received in the mail to make that donation to our shul. And finally, on behalf of myself, Tamar, my family, I wish you a healthy new year. Gemar Chatima Tova. May you be sealed in the book of life. Thank you.
Shikha, thank you, Mark. And thank you for all of the hard work that you do in your leadership on this building project. It really looks incredible in there. I think there's a video that also came out featuring the sanctuary this week. So check that out if you haven't yet, if you're not able to make it up to the balcony. We will end our services, page 250 with Yigdal. Yigdal Elohim chai ve'yishtabach nimtza b'nei metziuto echad ve'en yachid k'yichudo elam v'gam en sof le'achduto en lo tamut haguf ve'en haguf lo na'aroch elav kedushato kadmon lechol davar asher nivra Rishon ben Reshit leReshito Hino Adon Olam bechol notzar Yoreh gedulato ma'uto Shefa nevuato netano Elam shesegulato v'tifarto Lo yam b'Yisrael k'Moshe od Navi u'mabit et temunato Torah temet natan le'amoel Aliyah devi'o neman beito Lo yachal Yifa'el ve'lo yam yedato Le'olamim lezulato
צופה ויודע סתרנו, מביט לסוף דבר בקדמתו, גומל לאיש חסד כמפעלו, נותן לרשע רק ירישתו, ישלח לקץ ימין בשליחנו, לפתור מחכה קץ ישועתו, מתים יחייל ברוך חסדו, ברוך הדעת שם תהילתו, מתים יחייל ברוך חסדו, ברוך הדעת שם תהילתו.
Gemara Chatima Tova, everybody. You are dismissed.
It was a beautiful service. Thank you.
For a few hours.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good fast.
God help everybody. Have a good
Thank you,
year.
everyone.
The same
Amen.
to you, Shirley.